Hey friend, today we have a special treat because we're going to be talking about how to work better as a couple-preneur. And we're going to bring you 5 key tips. There's so many things we could share, but these 5 things are definitely bound to move you forward in your relationship and as you work together as entrepreneurs. Well, hello, Harold.
Hello.
And all of our friends. We are back, Freedom Parents, talking faith, family, fitness, and fortune.
Summer edition.
Summer edition.
I feel the need.
Oh, man. So today we want to dive into working successfully with your spouse as new couple-preneurs.
Yeah, it's painful. No, I'm just joking.
And primarily 5 key tips that we have. There's so much to be said on this topic, like so much. For those of you that have been following along on our podcast journey here, you can go all the way back to our first episode and really get like our full story. But
I was going to say what even qualifies, because when I'm listening to podcasts, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What qualifies this person?
Right. Lots of struggle.
To speak on that. Well, no, we've been business partners almost as long as we've been together.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Right?
17 years married. And how many years? That was 2006 or 7.
15 years business partners?
Mm-hmm.
15, 16 years business partners.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, a little backstory is like when we first started working together, I was already used to being like my own entity. I had built a personal training business from nothing at a local gym where we used to live, a significant gym. And it was my first little taste of kind of, as a subcontractor. So I worked at a gym, but I made my own schedule. I had to find my own clients. And it was the first little taste of being like a business owner. And I loved it. I loved the freedom. But I also... I didn't have to really answer to anyone, and not even you. So when we partnered with opening our gym, it was exciting. I loved creating with you, making the name, the logo. It was in the beginning very fun, and then we quickly found out being couple-preneurs was difficult.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the most difficult things that we, it's a sliding scale there, but that we had to grow through as a couple. Mm-hmm. And we took a lot of things away from it, honestly, that came into our whole relationship, right? I think the lessons that we've learned from working together and being entrepreneurs together overall is just, at first, it almost ruined us. We almost did not make it. And as we both persevered, we came through this now with just honestly, the marriage that we knew young. We could always have,
late 20s, late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Business owners, married. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot.
Kids coming all at the same time. Craziness. So we see this happen a lot because we mentor a lot of married couples. We have some singles in there too, but for the most part, the biggest majority is that we are mentoring either couples or people that are married, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the greater obstacles that we have to help people through is really helping them and their spouse kind of meet in the middle with the vision of what they're building. Right. Yeah. And getting full partnership. That can look different. Full partnership can look different. So that's one of the actually bigger things to get some clarity on, right? But is bringing those two heads and hearts together so that they can work for each other and with each other instead of against each other on what is truly actually, it's not just one person's dream. Like when you've got a couple, and one of them has this just huge, big dream, and they know they also have the vehicle to achieve it or the opportunity. Really, that person's making that dream for both of you, right? They're making for the whole family. So the obstacle or the dilemma is, how do we bring the other person into that dream and vision successfully, right?
Yeah. And
I'm waiting for you to say something insightful, Harold. Well, so we had this struggle. I think this isn't one of the 5 bullet points, but first, what we have to kind of get real on.
Were you asking me a question?
No, I just thought you might have something to say.
Because I was
man of many words.
Ask the question again. See if I can produce an answer.
Hello, are you here?
She kept me up late.
Oh man. So anyway, real life example. 2 different personality types right here. We have some similarities, which kind of, this is where we connect. We always used to say we are alike in just the right ways, and we are different in just the right ways too. And I think a lot of couples are like that too, if you can kind of start to look at it like that. Like,
yeah,
everyone has their strengths, and then looking at your spouse and yourself as like, here's my unique strength within this partnership. And what's your unique strength? I just kind of boil it down to, you can do your personality assessments, you can do all those things, but I look at it like this. Like, typically you've got someone in a relationship that is more logistical, analytical, organized, strategic, structured, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Their stuff's going to be ironed. I'm like, oh my God, when we started dating, you were like horrified that I had a wrinkle in my jeans. I was like, you want me to iron my jeans?
No.
I'm like, that's not happening. I remember when we first got married, you wanted me to, you expected, you thought that I would be starching your work uniforms and stuff and iron them all the time. I was like, what is starch? Do people starch things anymore? But I did try. I bought the starch in the can, and I did not know what I was doing. I think it came out like, it was
a little stiff.
Yeah, like a board.
It was a little stiff.
But we quickly found out I was not going to be that kind of wife for you. I'm sorry if I disappointed you.
It's all right. You can be wrinkly all the time.
I'm like, I got some wrinkles going on right now. So anyway, and then you've got your other, which is usually maybe a little more extroverted. This person might be more of a dreamer, might be more of a social butterfly.
Easily distracted.
Yep, squirrel. I always say I like flashy things. They typically is kind of like your person that's like, they got their head in the clouds type of thing, visionary.
Yep.
And then both people are very important.
Yep.
So, and yet they are very different. I, for one, had to...
They both have their strengths.
Yes. One of my biggest frustrations, and I think a lot of people struggle with their spouse, is you don't realize it, but you expect your spouse to like speak your language, or to think like you think, or see things like you see them. A lot of people they don't even stop to think, oh, he or she just does not see this like that, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't want to get into marriage counseling because I don't think we're an authority in that. Although we're going strong. 20-something years?
Together. I was like, 17
and
years
business
married.
Partners and 4 kids. Yep. But
forever.
I think that's where people come in, is they want to change people. I was like, well, you married that person. You think you're going to fix them?
Right.
If you go in with that mentality.
What they mean is they want to make them like you, like yourself. Like, how can I make them more like me?
No.
And that's not.
Instead of appreciating the differences and leaning into how that difference can be an asset, right? Because that's how they're operating unconsciously, and it could be their genius, right? Yep. So it's not to try and dismiss that. It's how can that work together. Synergistically with talents, and let each other stay in their lanes, right?
Well, and we found out personally, talking about ourselves too, is that where I might have the energy or the creativity to picture something that's not there, right? And then the energy to go out and create it, the energy to go out and create messages and communities and link arms with people, because I like to do those kind of things. I didn't have the skills to have it not be a hot mess.
Yeah.
Like to where like I was a fire starter, you know, or you just like I get all the balls going, but then ultimately I was going to be dropping some too. Like that was a big something that I really struggled with in our journey of entrepreneurship is like I could create some you know, energy around things and I could get things going, but I had a hard time sustaining. And that's where your skills came in and were so powerful. So for people that are like, you have your spouse, if you have your spouse that maybe they are not so much wanting to be in the spotlight, but they have these other skills of creating structure, which you're going to fight. Like I had to admit that you had skills that could quote unquote, like manage me
right.
without expecting you to manage me. And then you had to learn how to like create that structure and encourage me to have the structure without feeling like you were my boss too.
Yeah.
So it was a very, it was an interesting dance that led a lot of change around communication, really, like how we talk to each other.
Yeah. It was offering or suggesting structure, but with flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that was the key. The key word was flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
It was saying, it was, you know, here's some structure that can help keep all that energy moving forward, but then have the flexibility that you don't have to have that personality fit within a box either. Right?
Yep.
And I think too many people want that different personality to fit into the box. And that's where the conflict comes. And that's where they forget that they're on the same team, fighting for the same mission.
Yep. Yep.
So you had some fight, like we were conversing with.
Actually, I'm just going to read them.
A couple with we have these mini groups that we work with.
Shout out synergy groups.
And you had put some points in about what we're speaking about now, and I was like, yeah, that's what is it, 4 or 5?
Yeah, there's 5 points.
Yeah.
So here's how we go from not being aligned to moving into alignment with your spouse and working together. 1. I'll read it and then we can talk about it a little bit. But number 1 is just listen, even if it annoys you, even if you feel attacked, even if you are frustrated and you don't feel heard yourself, stop being in defense and start listening. There might be a nugget there and you might just need to change something about how you respond to what can or is your partner's strength.
Yeah. And that's big because I think with the different personalities is to that point is sometimes we can be so fixated and being right, mm-hmm. being fixated in our position that then we get defensive and we're not even hearing what the other person's saying. And we did that, or I did that. We both did that for quite some time, never moving forward, as opposed to saying, wait a minute, we're on the same team. We're trying to achieve the same goal. This person isn't trying to sabotage anything. Like, let me seek to understand, get clarity on their perspective and because they're trying to get us to the goal too.
Yep.
And I think that's
you're a team.
Yeah, when you say
you
it like
got married
that,
if you're
think
not.
about how many years we freaking egos and just ignorance of just saying time out. We're on the same team.
On the same team. We said I do.
Seek to understand. Yeah, I guess. But people have the proclivity to just get defensive. Right. And not listen and tune out.
Yep.
And that need to be right.
So one of the things, as an example, I'm just going to bring this up, like, so you had the need to make sure we were financially secure and safe. And you wanted to have retirement and savings and all these things. I had the need to spend money.
Right.
And also enjoy earning money too. I like to work. I do actually really enjoy serving people and things like that. So, but my mind was never around, although I want to make sure that we're taken care of, right? My mind was more around the money-making opportunities to make sure that our family was taken care of. Yeah. Whereas your mind was more around let's not blow all of our money to make sure our families, which was both are necessary. And of course you wanted to make the money too, but I only thought in one direction, If our family's finances and financial future were up to me, there would probably be none. We'd be making money, but we would not have we would not have investments and all the other things. So I had to change the way I looked at how you talked about our finances, as in, I felt that you were controlling me. I felt like I worked hard and I could never enjoy the fruits of my effort. I felt like it was never enough. And it was all very victim, instead of hearing like, okay, Sam, yeah, you know what? For what you want, it isn't enough. How are we going to earn more money? We need to operate on a budget so Harold can feel secure and safe. And if we're spending money that isn't within that budget, then you need to communicate to Harold how spending this money on going to this event is going to help generate more income for you and your family, and is moving the dream forward. So that the listen and the communicate. So when I stopped being defensive here on this first point, it was like every time you talked, I was basically like, even if I didn't, it was basically like I had my arms folded. Like that's the feeling. And you know, if you're being defensive, that you'll feel that tension as your partner's talking. Versus what I coach myself to do now is like, I coach myself to take a deep breath. If it feels like I'm starting to tense and become defensive, and I always have to remind myself to listen.
Yeah, but it also comes down to, I think, how we matured in our words, and how so like if you were to come with something, an idea, something, it was I heard this from Dave Blanchard actually, and how he says, you know, I actually love that idea. Or actually, I love a lot of what you said. Now, how would that work with what I'm saying, or does it? And it's seeking to understand, but you're affirming that person too.
Yes.
And that takes them from, you can't see Sam, but she was like, I'd come with my arms folded, versus all of a sudden their arms are open and they're leaning in. Because you're all of a sudden affirming them by saying, hey, I like that. I like some of that. How would that work with what I, how do we come together and reason together?
Yeah.
And that's that's so simple stuff, but we're such pig-headed, and oftentimes we want to deny the simplicity of things. And that's game changer right there.
That is.
Actually, you can stop the podcast right here. I'm telling you, that's game changer right there.
Huge.
Do that, and it'll change a lot of things
we can't
in your relationship. So, all right. So next week, no, I'm just joking. So what's the next one?
But that was really good. I'm glad you said that. And actually something that I say a lot, I don't know if you would recognize it, but I will say a lot when I'm listening to you, but I don't necessarily agree yet, or I don't know how I feel about it, is I will say, I could see that point of view, or I understand what you're saying. And even if I'm not sure of what my response is yet, like if I do feel tense and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm digging this, you don't always have to have a response even, because that's the whole point of just listen, listen.
Affirm and watch your facial expressions and watch your tone and understand. I will say this too, and understand if you have a history of tension and of not doing this, then you are going to have to understand that when you start to apply these methods, that the other person's going to have
conditioned
a conditioned response that isn't favorable, but you got to understand that those were conditioned based off of your
because your behavior was so predictable for so long.
Exactly. So you have to hold your ground, hold your space, give them space, and stay consistent with the change, to where then all of a sudden they start saying, wait a minute, okay, this is a different behavior.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a different response. But it takes time. There's number 2 right there.
I was going to say, actually, I think we could end the podcast right there.
Those 2 things, as I'm thinking about our journey, those 2 things right there are huge. Huge. Because then all of a sudden
the tension's gone.
Because then all of a sudden you're rowing the boat in the same direction.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? You're getting from A to B a lot faster.
Yeah. Oh my God. We have a good row in the boat story.
Do we? Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Around communication.
That row in the boat. That was horrible.
Okay.
About to throw you out like an anchor.
Actually, we entered an adventure race. I got to tell this is so good.
Next one.
It was the second time we won a divorce. Cliffhanger. Okay, number 2. Help him or her understand your strength or vision, but don't expect full partnership on it right away, as that takes different amount of time and roles for everyone.
Yeah, I was talking, so I didn't hear it, but
Do I need to repeat myself?
No.
So for us, when we're mentoring couples, usually a lot of times there's one piece of the puzzle of that marriage, that partnership, that comes into the business first. They start working on their health first. They start health coaching first. And the other is most of the time a supportive, role in the background, but very, very much in the background. There, a lot of times it's like, yeah, honey, okay, go do that. You do that. Man, I'm so proud of you. You're getting healthy. Man, I'm so proud of you. You're helping other people get healthy. That's awesome. Keep doing that. They don't know the name or the thing of what you're doing. They can't pronounce it, but they're for you. Okay. Until all of a sudden, this thing that they don't fully even understand is taking more and more of your time. Right?
Yeah.
You're starting to do things different than what you typically
Are you being
do.
Clear to where people know?
I think I am.
Yeah, you're talking about like your side hustle,
helping them.
or whatever.
I'm building context, Harold.
All right, because
you weren't paying attention to me. So
hey, look, our nanny texted, so I want to make sure nobody was like in distress.
Okay. Well, you just try to keep up. Okay, over here. You just try to keep up with me over here. Okay, I know it's hard, but you can do it. Anyway, instead of watching TV together in the evening like you usually do, you're on a Zoom call. You're maybe making a post. You're working your business. You're doing things that they said they're in full support of. But now that it's taking more and more time, they might feel a little threatened by it. You might feel like you're not getting support from them. And that's what we hear a lot. It's like, well, a lot of times people, when they get to a certain point in building their business, they're like, I'm feeling the tension of my spouse saying they're on board, but they're not fully on board. Like I get the mean comments sometimes, or the mean looks, or the shrugs, or the sighs of like, you're doing that again, or why are you doing that? That little thing or something. And it goes from support to being like, I don't know really if this is worth your time. So
that they're competing for time.
Yeah. But part of the problem is that you are seeing something, this person in the partnership is seeing something in their head that the other person has not pictured yet.
Yeah.
And then we become shocked that our spouse isn't on board, but they haven't had this dream yet. Or you haven't let them in on your dream. You haven't fully communicated what the vision is and what you're creating for not just you, but for your whole family. So you wouldn't be surprised, but other people would be surprised how many times we work with people and they bring these issues with us. And then we're like, well, have you like gone on a like date night recently with them maybe?
Right.
No. Versus quality time is super important.
Right. Have you connected?
Well, have you told them what your goals are with this? You have amazing goals, Sue. Have you told Bob yet no, not really. He sees we're making some extra money. I'm like, well, I guess he isn't in full support of you because he doesn't know what he's supporting.
Yeah.
So taking the time to tell them what your dream is and what your vision is for your whole unit, not just what you want to accomplish, but what you want to accomplish for each other.
Yeah. What's in it for them? So what's in it for us? So it's getting the family together and saying, hey, this is what we're creating. This is how we're doing it through this vehicle or through this actions. And yeah, then you get authorship and then it becomes a team effort. And then they can get behind that. Then I could get behind at the time and cleaning the kitchen or cooking while you were on meetings or vice versa. You can get behind it because, they all get Super Bowl rings, even the water boy, they win. So it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking or who's doing what. They all know that they're on the mission to win the Super Bowl. So we were on a mission to create X, Y, and Z. So, but you got to get everybody on the same page. And at that point, and that's another simple thing that I don't understand. Well, I can, but it's so simple on how you just don't sit down and it's communication.
Yep.
It's turning the TV
People get
off.
married and then they stop talking to each other.
It's turning the phone off. It's turning the radio off. And it's looking people in the face and saying, hey, so, like when's the last time you actually looked at your spouse with no distractions and had a conversation about your future?
Right.
Instead of waking up like Groundhog Day, day over day over day, or rowing the boat in different directions, constantly wondering why, you're not, the chaos is there.
Yeah. No, that's good. And the second piece to that is once you've explained to them, once you start communicating, people think that this one time, like telling their spouse one time, hey, honey, I got this dream and it's going to be amazing. And they're going to be like all on it. No.
Goes back to
be patient. Show them through the fruits of your labor and through consistent action. And honestly, some turning of the cheek and just
and that's another thing. You got to own it, because how many things have you signed up for? How many things have you done that you just quit? You didn't follow through on. Mm-hmm. So that could be a situation too. So you got to understand the conditioned behavior that your spouse is probably like, yeah, what's different this time? Yeah, I've heard this before. Mm-hmm. And so you got to respect that. Yep. And you got to contend with that.
Have more faith. You have to have more faith in what you're doing and take action and the process of growth, and be patient in letting them step by step kind of come into that journey and that vision.
Yeah.
3, you might always be the front person, or you might need to learn to share the spotlight. Don't have stealth expectations about roles. Talk and try things out constantly. Mm-hmm. So as couples do start becoming more full partners in their business, I found a lot of times there'll be one person that gets frustrated with their spouse over them not doing X, Y, or Z in the business. Like, because we'll say like they think that they need to do every single task like them. I do all these things, so therefore my spouse should be doing all these things too. Well, great. Yeah. If that works out for you and them. But again, going back to these personality types, like, you might have, someone like me who actually thoroughly enjoys being on social media and connecting with people on some social media and sharing stories and doing all those things. And then you might have someone like you who does it out of obligation because you have good things to share, but you really just don't want to be there. If I were to say, Harold, you need to do social media exactly like me. You need to be posting X amount of times a day, and you need to post these kind of things X amount a day. And then you need to do your stories, but you need to do them exactly like this. And when you do your stories, you need to go and see who's watching it and then message them so you can connect with them. And then if I did that, it would not happen. It would not work for you, because that's not how you operate. But it is how I operate. Yeah. And so that's my strength. And I should not try to put my area of interest or strength on you if it's not where you shine.
Well, it's putting expectations on someone who is not expecting that.
And it's not to say that you won't even grow in. Maybe you do, right? Yeah. Maybe you do end up doing that, but you surely aren't if I'm going to be on you all the time telling you have to, or like you're not, or what you're doing isn't good enough. Right. That it doesn't allow you the space to grow into it. Right. There's going to be some people out there that are always going to be the face of their business. And you just need to own that right now. And there's going to be some people out there that don't want to share the spotlight, but they have a spouse who's incredibly charismatic and is impactful or a good speaker. And sometimes they might become resentful. I see this sometimes too, because that spouse, I'll be honest, we went through that a little bit.
What was that?
You were naturally very good right away at the leadership aspect. And I will say you didn't jump out of inexperience, because you attended every event with me. You did every single training with me. So you were very knowledgeable about everything from the start to finish, and you'd done all the things. You were able to support clients. You were able to start them. You were able to do all the things that I was able to do. It just so happened that I did more volume in some of the other things, like bringing on new clients and stuff, than you. But you were very much just strong in your leadership skills. And there was a little season where I was slightly resentful that all of a sudden I was like, I have to spend all these hours supporting clients and doing this. And Harold just gets to jump right in and do our team calls, or to do the fun coaching stuff or whatever, and there was a little season where I was like, he needs to go back all the way to A, and he needs to work his way up. but it wasn't where you were best suited, and it wasn't how we were going to really grow our business the fastest either. So I had to kind of just drop that rock and be like, he's showing up, he's building our business, we're working together as a team, and this is his strength. I'm going to let him shine in his strength right now. And you did the same, for me too, because I'm sure there was times where you wanted me to work our business in a slightly different way, or you thought I could have done things better or whatever, but letting me go and just thrive according to my personality was really big.
Allowing people to thrive within their genius, what comes effortless to them.
Yep.
Because you're all working towards the same goal. So good stuff.
Okay, number 4, stop waiting for your spouse to do something you think about more and can also do, and then also don't hold resentment when you do the things. This is primarily about task, and I think it's this one's short and sweet, and it kind of blends into the previous one.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it kind of blends into that, but that's just like kind of summing it up. Like, I'll use a taking out the garbage analogy. How many times are you going to look at the garbage that's full and be mad that your husband is,
When that become the garbage man?
Right. Nah, how many times are you going to look at that and be like, I can't believe he didn't take it out. And you're standing right in front of it, and you are just as capable of taking it out. Even if you do it the most, okay, for some reason, that's going to be largely your task in your household.
Petty.
Is it really that big of a deal? Is it really that big of a deal? And I say this, and it's something I have to still work on all the time in different little ways. It's just, we just need to let go of it, and if you really need help, then ask for help in a kind and polite way, not in a being like begrudged or, anxious about it or resentful. Like, truly ask for help in a kind and humble way and explain why you want help and it's important to you, and see what happens.
The bigger thing is to stop dwelling on these small things. Like how much energy people give to these small things. To your example about taking the trash out, who does it the most, keeping score, tit for tat. Like how much that's just holding people back from being this force moving towards a goal, because you're hung up on bullshit like that.
Yeah. We always say, choose your battles. And that's like our motto with our kids too.
Well, and I think it's
like, choose your battles.
And what I was getting at was, I think it's the paradigm shift of, instead of focusing on that, focus on what they do well. Like, look for the good. We were talking about that with people who help us around the house and do different things, inside, outside, whatever. And it's like, man, you can sit there and focus on the one thing that you want them to improve on, but apparently that's just not in their wheelhouse to be excellent at that. But we keep focusing on that downfall,
that one thing,
as opposed to saying, let me look at the 10 things that she or he does amazing. And I'm telling you, that's another paradigm shift, because they could do the same thing to you. You're looking at them about that one thing that bothers the hell out of you. They can look at you about the one thing or 2 things that bothers the hell out of them. So it works both ways.
Yep.
Buttercup, right?
Right.
So the shift that thought changes your energy, changes the frequency. And again, it goes back to, I'll say it for the 4th time, I think, is rowing that boat in the same direction, because you're just on that frequency.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what, 5th and final?
All right, wrapping this up. This is to you guys. If you have young ones, I know your wives make multitasking look easy and like they want to do it, but it is eating away at their last nerve. Take turns being the one who can sit in silence and be on meetings, calls, or just at work. You are a team. And if you're going to do all the things together, then really do all the things together. That means a little less TV or mindless scrolling, but it will also mean better partnership and connection.
So this is actually a message we sent to the team in a text thread. So I'm going to reread it while you're talking.
Oh, okay. So that's, we work with a lot of couples, and a lot of couples that, they have young ones, they've got kids, it's not everyone, but this is when you're working together as a couple-preneur, and then a lot of times you're learning how to do this just from scratch. You're learning how to do this with no experience. And then you add in kids. Whew. Suddenly, something that is already going to be a difficult transition becomes a lot harder. I just think, a lot of times us women, we do a very poor job of communicating to our husbands just how much help we do actually need with the kids. I think sometimes maybe we make it look easy. I think sometimes we make it look like we want to feel like that superwoman that can do it all. And sometimes we feel like we have that expectation on us. But if you have the ability to work with your spouse and you're working with your spouse from home, and maybe you're at the point where you can financially outsource a little bit and start bringing in some help with the kids, you should. You should absolutely. We talked about that before, like different ways that you can get help with the kids. But ladies, first of all, you need to talk to your husband if you do need to bring in a babysitter, a nanny, a Mother's Day Out program, a daycare, or something, even if it's just a couple days a week. But secondly, like ask your spouse for help. Ask your husband for help with the kids. Say, hey, honey, I have a call. I need to be on. I can, but it's really difficult to juggle the baby on my hip while I try to do this call. I would be so much more relaxed if I could just take this 30 minutes to do this, just me. Mm-hmm. Can you help out? I think we don't act like people can read your minds, but
communication,
a lot of guys are coming from, being raised in a dynamic where men just didn't do that kind of thing a lot. They didn't help with the kids a lot. They didn't change the diapers. My dad worked. My mom cooked. And that was the dynamic, She cleaned, she took care of the babies, and there was really just no in between. But today is very different. Both, husband and wife, if they want to provide incomes, they work together, and there's no task that really should be separate, especially within the household.
It doesn't make you any less of a man to change a diaper or cook
and you can have a little fun with it.
Or, yeah.
I remember took a girls' trip for work. And you definitely took full advantage of those moments with social media. And it looked like, I don't know what it was, like a paint mask or something, changing a poopy diaper. And you made your fun little social media post with it, But also, too, guys, that's bonding time. Like another post you made recently of just like, you're like, I get it. I get why moms love this so much because of all the extra special bonding time you have when you're taking care of your kids and you're the one feeding them.
Being a caregiver.
Yeah. You can feel that special bond. So work as a team. It takes being extra. You got to be a little extra in your relationships. And especially if you're a couple-preneur, you have to just try a little harder every day to row the boat in the same direction.
For sure. Yeah. That's a wrap.
All right, friends, remember, you deserve to live the life you desire. So go out and create your new American dream.